Nah, you look tantalizing. You know, I make fun of The View a lot, but that's only because they keep talking. Because COVID also taught Sunny Hostin how to get her groceries delivered.
3 years, that's when I discovered Instacart. And I give them a big tip because they don't always pay their people well. And it's so that's been an issue, I think, for the company. But man, you can get toiletries, you can get fire logs.
Fire logs? She had to tell the audience that she tips big because even she knows she sounds insane.
The term woke has been, in my view, co-opted by the right and weaponized and bastardized. So I was surprised to hear you use the term because historically, as you know, because I think you're quite brilliant, that woke is a word used by the Black community to note that we must be aware of social injustices.
But words migrate.
Why is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing, and originally that was absolutely a great thing. Don't tell me that the left hasn't changed. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when it was the conservatives who hated the Jews.
Imagine getting roasted live on TV, trying to smile while your brain freezes. That's what hit Sunny Hostin when Gutfeld and Bill Maher teamed up. Gutfeld threw sarcasm like firecrackers. Maher came in with that cold, smug truth, and Sunny looked like her brain just glitched mid-sentence. And guess what? It all started from one wild, messy moment.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. So, but the problem with her is that
if I had any doubt that I was right about the change that's happened in the left, watching people protest for a terrorist organization like Hamas, that straightened me up pretty quick.
You can see the way Sunny Hostin, the way she's touching her above her eye, she can't even look at him because she's an activist, not a journalist or whatever it is that she purports.
Sunny Hostin acts like a mix of a LinkedIn show-off and a Facebook mom bossy, loud and full of herself. She walks in like she knows it all just because she skimmed something online and suddenly thinks she's the queen of every convo. That's the real Sunny right there.
it's about The View. It's like, it's become like a medical hospital that displays human misfailure. Like, it's like here, let's look at this political oddity. You know, it's like, it really is like the left-wing equivalent of a carnival sideshow, except instead of bearded ladies and fat clowns and two-headed cows. Well, let me rephrase that. But The View is a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. You know, how can you...
It all kicked off when Gutfeld and Bill Maher showed up, two guys who usually can't stand each other. But the moment Sunny Hostin started talking, they both locked in like they'd found a common target. Gutfeld brought that wild Fox News energy with a smirk like he just uncovered secrets in a dumpster, and Maher, the moody HBO guy, turned his sarcasm up like he was training for a marathon. Turns out nothing brings people together like watching logic get twisted beyond savings.
Now speak the truth, and when for years you've been telling lie after lie after lie, now you're carrying this big bag of rocks around you because it's too harmful for their ego to admit that we really were dishonest. And they could be honest. All they would have to say is, look, we hate Trump so much, we were willing to lie about Joe Biden because we felt he was preferable. We thought our lying and our cover-up was on your behalf. Just say that. You're still scum, but at least you're honest.
Sunny turned, talking into a whole performance, sounding like she's reading notes from a college kid's homework on oppression. But acting like she's running for PTA queen, she doesn't argue. She preaches like her feelings are official facts. Ask her something real like inflation and she'll go off about oat milk and how the yogurt section is part of some deep injustice.
If you think that's bad, The View's co-host, Sunny Hostin, says, hold my beer, and is literally claiming Republican women can't think for themselves.
I think that women, white women in particular, want to protect the patriarchy here because it's to their benefit. Yeah. They want to make sure that their husbands do well. They want to make sure that their sons do well. They want to make sure that their children do well. And they want to make sure that they do well. Most of the women in some of these studies are married white women, and they do fall in line with what their husbands.
Gutfeld didn't even have to try. He just sat back and let Sunny do her thing, watching her break down. The news is like watching someone read Shakespeare through a funhouse mirror. Every take comes coded in her personal drama and vibes, like she read half a headline and called it research Greg who lives to troll but with cash behind it, just leaned in, gave that signature eyebrow raise, and let her whole argument crumble on its own.
Hostin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from Sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from Europe. Here's how she took the news. Roll it.
Wow.
And Maher, well, you know, it's bad when the guy known for complaining sounds smarter than you. He didn't even bother roasting Sunny. He just quietly took her apart, like old furniture. Her big moment was calling deep convos a privilege, like saying rain is unfair because some folks have umbrellas. It was so backwards it felt like it was walking in reverse. Both Maher and Gutfeld just looked at her. Like, how does someone with a law degree talk like this? Sunny doesn't want real talk. She wants claps, and Greg didn't even need to try. She handed him the win without him lifting a finger.
Here's a treat for you. The insufferable Sunny Hostin getting a beatdown from Bill Maher on Gaza.
Concerned about the innocent civilians that have been collectively punished and murdered, large children and women, and are you at all concerned about the fact that the International Criminal Court just today issued a subpoena for Bibi Netanyahu?
Well, that's ridiculous, but it's a war.
Why?
Because it's a war, and they were attacked, and they're defending themselves. Now, this is a war. Do you think Hamas needs to be destroyed? This is the question.
Yeah.
You do?
Yes.
So how can we get out with a ceasefire?
All right. So Hamas needs to be destroyed because they are a terrorist organization who say openly that they want to commit genocide on the Jewish people.
The funniest part, Sunny really thinks she's the smart one. Like her words are the foundation of every big convo in America, while Gutfeld and Maher are busy tearing her points apart with plain old common sense. Maher went full bar philosopher and turned her argument into dust. Sunny claimed only people with lived trauma can understand big issues, and Maher shot back, saying, reality doesn't need your life story. Sunny only values experience if it agrees with her, and Gutfeld didn't even use facts, just pure sarcasm, and she handed him all the material he needed without even realizing.
A lot of fun. But Bill Maher did get to go on The View, and he said some things that offended the small minds over there. So he had a bit of a debate with the intellectual titan, Sunny Hostin. She was upset with him for using the word woke, and Bill Maher took her to school.
The real twist in all this, she had no clue she was getting roasted. It was like watching someone trip over the same glass door again and again while blaming the building for being unfair. She kept tossing out half-baked takes like they were deep truths, then acted shocked when they collapsed. Maher's final hit was simple. He asked how someone can call themselves open-minded while trying to cancel anyone who disagrees. And of course she said nothing because logic doesn't seem to reach whatever planet she's broadcasting from.
I make fun of The View a lot, but that's only because they keep talking. Those hens are always clucking. They get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, and then I get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, except on purpose. But every now and then, one of those dingbats inadvertently says something that reveals modern liberal thought so perfectly, it deserves further study. You know, like a weird serpent that washed up on the beach and you want to poke it with a stick.
So here's the deal with Sunny. It's not just the stuff she says, it's the way she says it. Her voice hits like a soft car alarm, all sharp and smug like a warning wrapped in politeness. She talks like everything has been pre-approved by some secret panel of smug experts, and when she disagrees, it's never just casual, it's dramatic, like she's making a big courtroom speech every time. Gutfeld doesn't even bother fighting back. He just pokes, lets her trip over her own logic, and sits back while her whole argument falls apart. Maher's that grumpy guy in the back who's seen too much and says what everyone else is thinking. He doesn't roast her for fun. He does it because someone has to. While Sunny's still on stage, turning random stories into emotional speeches, like she's giving directions to a country that never asked. Every conversation turns into a TED Talk. Every disagreement becomes a moral disaster. She doesn't trade ideas. She treats them like a private club where only people with the exact same beliefs are allowed in. And if you show up wearing logic instead of feelings, she'll slam the door in your face.
All of them, actually, that montage we showed, their absurdity strengthens the Republicans at this point. Because Republicans are like, oh yeah, you've been saying that about us. And I think ever since I got into politics, since 1995, as I recall, Democrats have been saying this about Republican women. So they just never change. It's not, talk about not fresh. they got nothing else. And so they don't want to defend their policies. So what they try to do is to make the other team more toxic.
She talks about empathy but never shows any. She demands people understand her while refusing to understand them. She preaches tolerance like it only works one way, and that way always points right back to her. The only thing steady in her whole act is the non-stop double standards playing like background noise. Greg Gutfeld could have had cue cards from the crowd and still nailed it because Sunny's talking points were basically flashing with a kick me sign she brought up in Justice. Greg asked how that fits with her massive paycheck. She called herself the voice of the unheard, but Maher and Gutfeld weren't even there to attack her. They were just trying to pull the whole conversation out of the fire before her logic dragged the rest of the show down. But Sunny didn't get it. She never does. She stood there arms folded waiting for applause that never came because nobody cheers for someone who shouts louder instead of making sense or thinks being bold means being right.
His willingness to say to Sunny Hostin that you can call it whatever you want, but we're talking about the radical left. It is amazing how they then just attempt to redirect the conversation.
The wildest part, Sunny still thinks she won. She walked off like she just saved the world, using a bunch of buzzwords she saw trending that morning while Gutfeld left. Grinning, and Maher probably lit a cigar using one of her cue cards as a match in the Hall of Fame for daytime TV disasters. This one fits perfectly between Dr. Oz running for Senate and Kanye handing out love advice. It was a full-on wreck of ego, loud opinions, and zero self-awareness, and just like that, Sunny added another episode to her slow but steady rise as the most accidentally funny part of The View, not because she's cracking jokes, but because she says pure nonsense with the confidence of a philosopher. Every rant feels like a one-woman show of outrage. Every sentence sounds like a final verdict. She doesn't join the talk. She hijacks it, turning every basic topic into a dramatic mission against invisible villains that only she seems to see.
Dame probably virtue signals on the toilet. But that's not the point here. While everybody else was trying to figure out how to survive as the government told us that breathing in public could kill us, Sunny was lolling around in her big house clicking on pictures of arugula while mixing Cocoa Puffs into her hog.
While Maher calmly unravels her arguments like he's pulling loose threads from an old sweater, Sunny stands her ground in a shaky little house made of buzzwords, thinking the wobble means it's flexible, not weak. Gutfeld doesn't even bother with logic. He just holds up a mirror and watches her trip over her own reflection again and again. It's not a real debate. It's like a one-woman monologue crashing headfirst into a sarcasm machine. This isn't two sides battling it out. It's more like a one-sided tug of war where the other team already let go. Picture a seesaw with Sunny's side weighed down by recycled phrases. Outrage on demand and a strong belief that feelings equal facts, while Gutfeld and Maher just sit on the other end cool as ice, sipping irony through a straw like they're watching a show not joining it. And the funniest part, she still thinks she's leading the charge like she's changing minds while the rest of the room is just trying not to laugh too loud.